Hello everyone, my name is GivenChrisYuenan, and now I will present about experimental video for fuel consumption efficiency. The objective of this experiment is to compare the motorcycle fuel consumption efficiency before and after the reamer process. Before we go further, what is a reaming process? Reaming process is a cutting process that involves the use of rotary cutting tools to create smooth interior walls in an existing hole in the workpiece. As you can see in the picture, there is a difference between reaming, tapping, and also counterboring. There are some methods that will be used in this experiment. The first experiment, we run a motorcycle that fueled with 250 ml per litre fuel until it is empty and measure the distance and time travel by 10 times. The second experiment used the same technique like the first experiment, but after the reamer process. And then the last, the observer then compare and observe the result from both experiments. The route that I take for the first and second experiment is a route from the Harvest City Boulevard to Ramenunggal Street. I choose this route because it is less vehicle crossing and less obstacle. The distance is about 5.6 km and it takes around 10 minutes to go from the first point to the second point. There are some variables that I will use in this experiment, for example, like the vehicle fuel, the liter, average speed in kilometer per hour, times in second, and also distance travel in kilometer. And then how to measure the variable. The first one, I will use the stopwatch to measure the time of the experiment, and then use the geo tracker apps for phone to measure the average speed and also the total distance travel. There are some expected errors also from this experiment. The first one is when refilling the vehicle tank, the fuel is not fully empty. It means that there are some fuel remains in the tank that could be affect the variable of measurement. The second one is the application to measure the distance have accuracy in about plus minus 1 meters. The distance less than 1 meters is not accurate. In order to do the experiment, there are some equipment that will be used in this experiment. The first one is a bottle that contain the pertalite fuel of 250 milliliters, and then raincoat in case if it is rainy, and then there is a grinder to help the reaming process. And then the next one is your tracker for measuring the distance and also the time and also the average speed. And then there is a toolbox to assembly and reassembling the motorcycle component. Next one, we will talk about the result of the experiment one. After the motorcycle run 4 times using 250 ml each, the results are shown in the below table. The first trial, the motorcycle can reach 15.7 km and takes 15 minutes and 50 seconds. And then the second trial, the distance is 15.1. It takes around 16.23 seconds. And then the third trial, the distance is 13.50 km. It takes 13 minutes and 37 seconds. The fourth trial, it is 14.2 and takes about 15 minutes and 12 seconds. The total distance is 57.5 kilometers, and then the time is 61 minutes and 1 second. The motorcycle ran in average speeds of 48 km per hour. As you can see from the video, this is how the motorcycle are disassembled. The first one, we remove the casing, and then the next one we will remove the carburetor inside the motorcycle. So after we take the carburetor and then we do the reamering process. The first one, we need to reamer the front side, and then after that we go to the back side and do the same thing. We do the reamering process, we do reassembly process. We put the carburetor back to the motorcycle and then we put the chassis back also. After the motorcycle run 4 times using 250 milliliter each, and after the reamer process, the results are shown below. The first trial, it takes 15.6 km in about 14 minutes and 5 seconds, and then the second trial, 16.3 km in about 15 minutes and 42 seconds. The third trial, 16.8 in about 16 minutes and 11 seconds. The fourth trial, it takes 15.9 in about 15 minutes and 7 seconds. The total distance is 64.5 km and the total time it is 61 minutes. The average speed of this experiment is about 50 km per hour. For the last part, it is about conclusion. From the both of the experiment, it shows that the reamer process affects the fuel consumption on the motorcycle. We can see from the results that almost at the same time, the distance traveled from the second experiment are farther than the first experiment. There are many factors that cause the different result on each of the experiment trials, such as a fuel remains in the tank, average velocity, and weather condition. That's all for me. Thank you.